So I was attacked by a bunch of Twitter lawyers the other day. Oh, so we all know what happened at the Oscars. Uh, well, we know the incident that happened, but I couldn't tell you like anybody that actually won anything or why they won it. So, regarding the incident, Sydney Watson posted this comment on Instagram, and I replied to it because I felt like she was kind of wrong in her assumption. So, not long after posting that comment, there was I wouldn't even say an army, like a small squad of trolls pretending to be lawyers. One of them made a comment about assaulting me. Yeah, that was fun. So of course my response to his comment, uh, I haven't heard anything because it's not uncommon for lawyers to say things and then pretend that they didn't say them. Doesn't remind me of Four Doors or More Horrors or anything like that. Man, the things that came out of that trial. So of course the thing that they were concentrating on isn't the fact that whether or not Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was assault or assault with a weapon or no. My comment was that it was more of an insult than it was anything else, and that using an open hand, really nobody cares. And that's the whole point, is that, as I was trying to point out to Sydney, is that she was making Will Smith sound feminine in a way, non masculine, if you will, by slapping Chris Rock instead of hitting him as she would view a man would do. But between two men, if you walk up to another guy and you slap him across the face, you're saying he's not worth the punch, he's a bitch, and this is what bitches get. As for the legal aspect between the difference between this and this, that goes back to 2 years of law enforcement school, training in boxing, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai for a short period of time, wrestling, aikido, and did I already say judo? I also had a concealed pistol license for a period of time, and that involved a 2-day course in order to get it, where you study self-defense and the legal aspect of using your firearms, and of course you dive into other aspects of self-defense in the state of Michigan. So as a police officer and also as a prosecuting attorney and probably a defense lawyer, when you are introduced to a situation where two people have a altercation and one is beaten and the other has marks and you're trying to figure out who did what, there's certain things that they look at. Is there bruising or cracks on the knuckles? Are there cuts, abrasions on the hands? Because when there is an assault, there's two people, and yes, two guys can duke it out, in which case both of them usually end up going to jail. Doesn't mean they get prosecuted, doesn't mean they get thrown into prison. It just means, hey, these two guys are involved in it. We don't know who started it, don't really care. They're both getting locked up for the weekend. As they call that in Iowa, it's the Friday night fight or fuck. Those guys were fighting instead of fucking. So as a police officer, when you roll up on the scene and there's two people, it could be a man and a woman, it could be two women, it could be two men. You just never know. But it's obvious that something happened and you have to quickly figure out as to who's getting cuffs put on them, whether you're just turning around walking away or both of them are going to jail for the night. So there's things that you can look for. One, who's the one who's been beaten? Because usually it's one against the other. That doesn't mean that the person who is beaten did not instigate the altercation. But unless there's video footage, you have no idea what to go by, right? That's why we have certain laws now, like in the state of Michigan, where if it's obvious the woman was beaten, the man is put into jail, giving her time to leave the premises, go to a shelter, go to a family's house, get out of the situation that she's in. Doesn't mean the man was going to be prosecuted. It doesn't mean that he's going to prison. It's just how the law is set up these days. And that's regardless of whether or not it turns out she slapped him first, in which case he could probably make the argument he was defending himself, even though he's using this. So, other things that they look for. Again, does the other one person have any cracks, bruising, broken fingers on a hand? Goes to show like how this was used in either way. Does she or he have any abrasions, bruising here in the arm where you are defending yourself or trying to keep any attacks off of you? It doesn't mean that they weren't doing a palm strike to the face, to the collarbone, to the chest. Hell, that's all that they do in judo. You don't punch somebody in judo. You actually strike people to the chest, grab their gear, and then use their gear to throw them onto the ground. It's kind of a cool way of doing a palm strike, even though striking's not technically legal in judo. So getting back to the Will Smith, Chris Rock altercation. Oh, yeah, so he hit him with an open hand strike, which also means a weapon was not involved. And it's between two rich dudes with lawyers and lots of money. Throw in the fact that they're both black, and what cop is going to throw cuffs on Will Smith? After the last 2 years, not happening. Even though this event was live on TV, the cops are not going to roll up and they're not going to put Will Smith in handcuffs and haul him out of the event because he slapped someone. Have we become that nation of pansies? Is that what we've become? Like, one dude can't slap another dude when he talks out of line. Or there's also the good possible fact that this could just be another Juicy Smollett, and that this was all orchestrated. And yeah, do the cops really want to get involved in that either? How about we just let their lawyers decide as to who pays what, or whether or not this was, which it probably was, consensual. After all, we know that Will Smith is involved in weird consensual. As you can see, this is a Twitter profile. Very professional. I think he likes beer. And while he claims to be a lawyer and he allegedly works in a law firm doing law, I'm guessing he either cheated while taking the bar or he doesn't exactly understand at least state statutes, because he kept arguing about the legal aspect of Will Smith slapping the shit out of Chris Rock. And I was saying that open hand is usually considered self-defense. In this case, we know because of the video footage it was not self-defense. Whoop-de-doo. But a weapon also wasn't used, except for the state of Minnesota, which this event did not happen in. Good luck prosecuting that. Then he asked me about what state I was in, which is Michigan. Again, good luck prosecuting that in this state. Yay. So then that leads us to, well, what does the what does the law say in California? And quite frankly, I don't care, because we all know that the law in California does not apply to everyone. Just like the laws in other states don't apply to everyone. Will Smith is not going to be charged for assault. It's not going to happen. They're going to have their lawyers talk. They're going to negotiate some stuff. If it even gets that far. Because the odds are that this was all just a Hollywood stunt in order to try to boost ratings. Because, as you know, the Oscars have always been a wellspring of Jerry Springer-like material. So what does this boil down to? Well, it's basically just a bunch of no blue check nobodies trying to flex their nuts with being able to tap a keyboard and, hey, look, the law in Minnesota says. Nobody cares what the law in Minnesota says. It's Minnesota. When was the last time anything good came out of Minnesota? Then came along this tool. So while this guy claims to be a custodian, which is hilarious because that was my job for 16, 17 years. Like, if there's anybody who knows about taking out trash, it's probably this guy. So I want to take that off your title, because you haven't earned it. Although your account does seem to be trash because you've only got 28 followers. And granted, I don't have that many either, but I'm not calling people out on stupid bullshit, right? I mean, that's not why I'm here. So this guy tries to say that it is my responsibility, because I'm making a claim, to back up my claim. And yeah, so let me get this straight. I say something, people are calling it out as being inaccurate, and then they're yelling at me for not backing it up with certain material that they demand that I present to them. So let's turn this around a bit. I'm accused of committing a crime. Let's say that making the statement, like making a false statement in court, is a crime, right? I don't have to prove that my false statement is true, because I am the person who's being accused of this. It is up to the state to prove that I lied making the false claim. That's how this works. Like, how is it these people claiming to be lawyers don't know how the fuck this works? Just because some website that you cited states that I'm making a false fallacy or whatever. What was that bullshit that it said? Oh yeah, logical fallacy is burden of proof. No. No. The burden of proof is on the accuser. I'm being accused. That's how this works. That's simple law. We learn this in elementary school. Are you too busy learning about your sexual identity, or like what gender you are, or whether or not your pants are like, is this what happened while you were in school? Because fuck, I learned this while watching Matlock. Yeah, then there's this whole argument that was made of like, no, the law is the same in all states. He didn't even say all 50 states. He just said all of them, right? This is going back to Beer Boy. Yeah, that's not, no, like every state has different statutes for different crimes under different circumstances. That's how you have state law. There's federal statutes, and those are prosecuted under federal jurisdiction. But then you have state statutes, which just because there's a law in Minnesota doesn't mean it applies to California or Michigan. It's like how the idiots in Minnesota have to have a permit in order to open carry. but you don't need a permit in order to conceal carry, which is completely backwards compared to Michigan law. So, in his argument, if I was to open carry in the state of Minnesota, it's fine because I'm from Michigan and Michigan law states that I can open carry, right? I mean, if the law is the same in all 50 states and it doesn't matter, and I can just look up this one statute on the Minnesota legal website, I mean, it's got to apply to California, right? That's how this works, right? I think this guy failed the bar. So getting back to Beer Boy, yeah, he started getting upset, whining, flinging insults as soon as he wasn't getting his way. You know, that's always a good sign of like you have nothing. It's like Dan Bongino says, you know, if you have facts, you slam the facts, and if you don't have any facts, you hit the table type thing. Yeah. So he just starts flinging insults, and you know, I'm not playing ball, not playing along. I keep telling him he needs to do his job because it's not my job. If he's a lawyer, why is he asking me to do his job, right? His job is to look up the law, to look up the statutes, to see what applies, what doesn't, what does this state say about this, what does the... But he just kept saying, dude, I looked up the law here. Good for you. I didn't ask you to. Don't even think you're going to send me a bill for that either. Because I know how this works. You get paid by the hour. And if you're so good at your job, why are you looking up stuff for comments made on Twitter? If you're so good at your job, why are you on Twitter? Probably because he's slamming too many beers and can't actually get a case. So yeah, it's pretty funny. This guy is flinging insults like these. Meanwhile, I'm replying saying like, no, I'm not illiterate. Actually, here's some of my credentials as to why I would know about this subject. And the response is, oh, the meltdown. Look at this. This guy's actually responding with coherent sentences and non insults. Actually, most of these words, except for judo, have more than 4 letters in them. Yeah, he's really hurting. So I'd actually love to see this guy operating in court. I you know, he's got a witness on stand. He keeps asking these questions. He's not getting the responses that he wants. There's certain things that he just wants this guy to say. He just like needs, if he could just say this one thing, I've got this case in the bag. I'll totally win this. Then of course the guy's sitting there on the stand and is just like, no, that's not what happened. This is what happened. Is he gonna turn around and go, yeah, well, you lick balls. Right? Right? Yeah. You lick balls. Why do you like licking balls? Um, Pretty sure that's when the judge steps in and is like, "You're out of line. Any more talk about ball licking?" And I'm gonna throw you out of this courtroom. That's very unprofessional. How dare you bring that kind of behavior into my courtroom? Yeah, but after all, this is Twitter. I mean, I always knew it was a cesspool. I just didn't know the turds were going to start floating around me. So that's about it. I kind of thought this whole thing was entertaining overall. I mean, never actually had a troll squad. It wasn't even an army. It was just like 3 dudes One of them wasn't even engaged. He was just like saying his own private BS about kicking my ass and some other thread because he's such a badass. Although he seemed to also be the only actual lawyer within the group. Immigration law and domestic disputes or something like that. Actually had a direct line to a law firm website. Wow. That's okay. We can still sign contracts and I'll break his fucking nose. Nothing I haven't done in the past. So I'm going to close this up by saying no, I'm not a lawyer. And no, you shouldn't take legal advice from me. That's pretty obvious. And the main point that I was getting across with my comment to Sydney is that it was an insult to Chris Rock to slap him across the face because that was Will Smith's nonverbal way of calling him a bitch. You act like a bitch, you get slapped by a bitch. Hit girl. Kick ass too. It's an insult. That's it. He wasn't worth making a weapon out of his fist. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. And as for the legal aspects of it, I really don't give a shit. Like, these are not guys I'm going to see on the street. I'm not going to get into an altercation at the bar, especially with dipshits who like, oh, I'd like to try that out on him. Yeah, never heard a response from him. Actually, I'm going to back that up even more. If there's a tough man competition in your area, invite me. You sign up, I sign up. We'll get into a ring. And then we can settle this like men, unlike Chris Rock and Will Smith. So, yeah, you might want to start hitting the gym because mine's upstairs. Thanks, and keep on typing.